Now it's time to drill the holes for this, for the bolts, the nuts and the bolts that go in it. And I'm using aluminum because that's what I have. I decided not to put a medallion in it because it's a saw that I made, that I cobbled together. But if you look, that is bigger around than that. Now normally this smooth side gets put on this side, okay? Because most people are right-handed, and when they hold a saw in their hand, they'll see that the smooth sides and not the slotted side when they're looking at it. For me though, I'm going to put these on this side because I'm left-handed, and so I have to drill a couple of holes. And what I want to do, this gives me 90 degrees, but I don't know if you can see it, but I've built kind of a slope into it. It's thinner here than it is here into these cheeks. And hopefully you can see, I'm trying to get a closer view so my camera is zoomed in, and I'm hoping that I'm putting this in the right spot. So bear with me. So what I'm going to do, this has got to be, that's 90 degrees or thereabouts. And I want to kind of tilt it a little bit toward this way. When I drill, so that they'll hopefully go straight through the handle and not be kinked in any kind of way, if you understand what I mean. And I want to Alright, and so for these, so we see that these fit in here, and there's enough room for that square point to grab on this, the round part of this hole. Which I will smack in if I can, and try to lock it tight. I hope that you can see this, because if you can't, then I'll be describing it and not showing it. That's what it is. That's how it is. Can't do anything about it. One-man operator. Don't have a camera operator. I don't want to bend anything or damage anything or anything like that. I just want that off of there. There we go. Don't want to damage it, don't want to bend it, don't want to do anything like that. Now I've just marked at 10 inches because that's what I'm trying to do, is build a 10-inch dovetail saw. I toyed with the idea of making this sort of a carcass saw, but I don't really need it. I have two saws that are rib. This will be one of them. Then I have the other, the 10-inch saw, which I will alternatively call a carcass saw from time to time, because it just depends on what it is that you're going to use the thing for. Flat out, that's what makes it what it is. People have different definitions of different types of saws, and they categorize it by half an inch, right around that, less than that. Let's see, yeah, no, half an inch, just a little over, but we're gonna go. Anyway, they characterize it by the grind and the size of the saw and all kinds of things, but in reality it really is just whatever the guy that chose to use it calls it. So I'm gonna go, this is 3 7/16, and this is about 9/16 height. So if I go 2 9/16, that should give me almost a 2-inch cut. That is what I'm looking for. Safety first. Beautiful. There's like a little hump right there in the middle, but where's my other file? Here it is. Having it elevated a little bit on that really did help quite a bit. I saw that on Bearcat woodworking or something of the sort. I believe it was the guy that does the Bearcat saws before he actually started selling saws. When he first started, but I'm not sure. I just know that I appreciate his channel, Blackburn Tools channel. Because it would have been a whole lot harder to do this if it hadn't been for those resources. I've got this as ready for finish as I can get it. When it comes to like sanding, you're going to find out that you're going to never be done sanding. And it's difficult to just say, okay, that's enough. You know, one of the things that I would encourage when it comes to sanding a piece is that you're going to get to where you've had enough, to a point where you're done with it. It's like, all right, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. I'm going to be sanding until I'm old and gray. If I keep it up, that's good enough. It might be, but my guess is that it could use more than what you're doing. And what I would say, this is wipe on poly. I'm trying it with a brush. It's probably a bad idea, but we're going to give it a shot. But anyway, what I would say to that is walk away from it. Walk away. Come back tomorrow, or come back to, you know, if you're like me, you don't always get tomorrow. A lot of times it might be a couple of days before you're able to get back to it. What I would say to that is that's okay. Be okay with that. And just set it aside. Set it aside, come back. Later, you can get so frustrated with sanding. And the thing of it is, when it comes to what you're building, the real beauty of it is in the last 20 minutes or so of work that you do sanding. Pretty much. So take your time and do it to the best of your ability, because it matters. More than you realize. It's a difference, and I'm not even just talking about if you're building for someone else. What I mean is there's a difference that comes when you look at the work that you do and that finish. That finish is what you're going to look at. What you're always going to look at. Every time you see the piece, you're going to see that finish that you did. Whether it's good or whether it's bad, the finish is what you're going to see. Pretty sure the handle is ready to go. It's a bit rougher surface wise than I like. I'm going to take some steel wool, because a lot of times what happens is you get dust and stuff from the atmosphere when you are finishing. This is hand tool woodworking. We're not building, we don't have a big fancy shop that has, you know, a controlled clean room to spray finishes in or anything like that. This is simply, and it wouldn't be something that I think most craft people would do anyway if they had that for something like this. This is just a hand tool handle, and it's not anything that we're going to get really picky about. We just want a finish on it that will protect it, and we want it to feel good in our hands. The switch is why we're going over it with this steel wool, is I don't want like a pebbly, sandpapery kind of surface. I want something nice and smooth that feels really good on my hand, and that doesn't, you know, that's comfortable to use and will be a joy to use, and not something that feels rough in any kind of way. And that's the point of it, and the reason that we're hitting it with this steel wool is that we want everything to be nice and smooth. You see me feeling it with my fingers. I don't want any roughness on this surface whatsoever. And this, you know, I'm building this because I don't have like $200 to buy a dovetail saw. So this is not a $200 saw, and never will be a $200 saw. It's a shop-made tool to do what I need it to do, and I'm not trying to say to anyone that watches this video that it's any more than that. And I'm certainly not attempting to fool myself into thinking that it's something more than that, because it's not. But in my opinion, this will do the job that I need it to do. That is what I want, and that's the point of this. Nothing more. If I had the money, I would most definitely purchase a saw from Lee Nelson or someplace like that, so that I would have a fine tool to do what it is I need. But not going to happen. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some Johnson's, or some Minwax rather, paste finishing wax. Paste finishing, that's my dyslexia. Yes, I'm dyslexic. I know most people don't realize it or notice it, but I am, and there you see it. And I'm gonna rub me some wax on this. Now this is not just like a regular wax. This is a paste finishing wax. It's much harder. It will help protect the surface, but what I'm really putting it on here for is it will produce a certain kind of sheen, but more than that, it will produce a certain kind of feel in my hand, and that's what I'm really interested in and why I'm using it. Alright, we're going to let that sit there and dry for a bit. Then we will buff it out to a nice sheen. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to assemble the saw. It should still be fairly sharp. If not, I'll do a sharpening on it. And then we will fine set the set if we need to. So yeah, that's called operator error there. She goes. These go in because I want these on my show face. And it will need a bit of playing with to get it to work. Get them to go in. What I'm going to do, I'm going to set that like that. Do one of those numbers. Lovely. And here's the finished saw. It is it's cutting really well. I did some test cuts in walnut and I think some in pine. I don't know what will end up on the video, but I set the teeth and resharpened the saw because of all the work that I did on it. It probably needed sharpening. It's a cheap saw plate that's relatively thin that I put a nice handle on. And this will do dovetails with no problem, just as well as any of the others. So I'm happy to have it. I think it looks really nice. It sits in the hand very nice. It's a bit light. I would prefer just a little bit more weight, but that's not an issue in the cut. And the handle's nice and smooth. My hand is straight when I use it. When I look down the saw, down the handle, it points straight out from the handle. It's not twist, the blade's not kinked that way or that way. It's straight up and down in the handle like it's supposed to. And yeah, that'll work. This will be a good saw to do my dovetails with it, but anytime or any place where I need a small rip saw, this saw will work just fine.